Hi, this is Sandy with a little bit of glitter, and I am still playing with that fun little garden mouse from Fawn. This time I am doing a card with the magic picture changer as opposed to the color picture slider. I've used this interactive die a number of times. It's one of my favorites. Go ahead and hit subscribe if you'd like to be notified of future videos. You can follow me on Instagram at Sandy Cogdill or on my blog, A Little Bit of Glitter. Let's get started. To start off, I'm going to use the part of the die that is the actual piece that holds all of the mechanism together. I'm going to put this on white cardstock, and then I kind of just trace around the inside of that square, and then also on the outside. It just helps give me some more little guidelines when I get ready to die cut it. This part of the die actually is the front part of the picture. This is the one that doesn't do any of the changing. So what I'm going to do is put my cardstock in my MISTI along with the die piece to help me line up where I want my little elements from the stamp set to be. I want my little mouse to be holding the watering can, so I'm going to place that in this picture and then figure out exactly where that little mouse would stand to be holding that water can. Once I get the watering can in place along with the dirt, I am just going to stamp those two pieces, and then I'll be able to mask off the watering can and come back in with my little mouse, my little garden mouse, and stamp that so it looks more realistic. I also add in the little sprinkles that are coming out of the watering can on that second stamping. I forgot that I wanted to have a little sun up in that left-hand corner, so I'm using the sun from all the clouds, and I'm going to go ahead and get that placed in my MISTI and go ahead and stamp that so that is ready for the second layer of my picture also. Now that I have my top layer done, I need to replicate that for my second layer. My second layer is going to be exactly the same, except I'm going to add a flower in that little mound of dirt. That's the part of the picture that's going to be changing. So I'm going to layer my second layer in my MISTI, and then I'm still going to be using the top layer to help me place where I need those stamps to be, so that they are as close as possible when I get ready to cut out that second layer with the die. So pretty much I am doing the exact same steps that I did on that top layer. I'm just doing it on the second layer and adding the little flower. Okay, both of those layers are done and they look pretty good. We're going to go ahead and start coloring. I'm using Copic markers. I'm going to be coloring both of the layers at the same time. That's just quick and easy to do it. Also, with this first layer, what I'm trying to do here is I wanted to place my grass kind of in the same spot. That's also going to help me line up my two little squares when I get ready to cut them out. So I'm lining up that grassy area with the bottom of her apron right where that little tie is. And then I'm going to try to go straight across as best as possible. And that's going to give me a guideline for when I get ready to line up my two little squares. So the greens that I'm using are YG23 and YG25. For the sky, I am using B000. I'm not real worried about keeping that a solid color. Most skies have some type of little clouds or little variations in it. So you don't have to be real particular on that coloring. For the sun, I'm going to be using Y04, Y08, and Y19. The little mound of dirt is E57 and E79. Her little apron is R81 and shaded with R83. Her little sun hat is BV00 and BV02. The mouse is E50, E51, and E53. I like this combination of brown. It's a little bit lighter than the one I usually use, which is E31, 33, and 35. This one's just a nice paler color. The inside of her little ears are R20 and shaded with R22. And her little watering can is C02 and C03. I added a little bit of orange for the flower that's growing and the little flower in her sunbonnet. And that color is WR02 and WR14. All right, that's it for the coloring. I'm going to go in with my white gel pen and just add some little highlights to her hat, the apron, the watering can, anywhere else where I feel like it might need a little bit of highlighting. I am still learning and working on highlighting with a gel pen. That seems to be a skill that I am really struggling with, but I know eventually I'll get it. Okay, now comes the nerve-wracking part. We're ready to cut out those two pieces. So I'm going to line up my main piece of that die on the larger piece of cardstock. And I'm just going to follow those little sketched out lines that I did when I first started out. Then I'm going to take the other piece of that die set and line it up on that second piece of paper that we've colored. What I tend to do here is I look at different elements within the two pictures and kind of decide where it's going to be closest. So what I'm doing is I'm looking at the very bottom of that little mound of dirt and seeing how much grass is in between the bottom of that dirt and the bottom of my die. And then I'm kind of looking over to the right side and seeing where her ear is falling in that die on both of those pieces. And then I'm also kind of looking at where her little apron is. Between those two spots, I feel like I can get it fairly well lined up. So I'll kind of play with that for a little bit. Then I'll take some temporary adhesive tape or just some paper tape, tape those down and run them through my die cutters and cross my fingers. All right, I've got my first one cut. Now I'm going to go ahead and get ready to cut my second one. I'll go ahead and tape that down exactly where I want it and run that one through my die cutter also. Okay, those look pretty good. So on that larger piece now, I'm going to fold it over or turn it over, and on the sides there is an embossed line or an indented line where I know where I can fold that little edge over. I'm going to do that on both sides. It's very narrow, so just take your time. And then I'm going to apply some double-sided adhesive to both sides of that flat. So I'm going to do it to the inside of that piece and then to the outside of the piece. I'll go ahead and adhere the piece that goes to the inside of the flap, and I'll leave my tape on the top part of those little folded pieces until I'm ready to completely close my mechanism. Okay, now this is where it starts getting fun. We are going to go ahead and fold it at the top where that slot is open. And then we're going to go ahead and feed in our little second piece. That's the piece that those little slots are not open. So you're going to feed the second piece in through that opening in the top of the larger piece. And then you're going to kind of thread in those little pieces. They're kind of like little tabs of the first picture into the second picture. And that's what's going to make that mechanism or that picture change. It's just kind of ingenious how that works. Sometimes your paper doesn't want to move up and down real smoothly. So what I will do is I will go back in with an anti-static powder tool and just kind of dust up both of those pieces of paper. And that seems to help it slide back and forth much easier. Once you're satisfied with the way your picture changer is moving, you can peel up those little protective pieces on your double-sided adhesive tape and adhere your little mechanism down. And now you're ready to start decorating the front of it. Isn't that cool? I'm using a piece of yellow paper from the paper collection Rainbow Ever After. It's from the petite pads, so the lines are a little bit closer together than if you have the 12 by 12 pieces of paper. I'm going to use the Magic Picture Changer add-on to cut out the little frame piece and the little tab that's going to go on that changing mechanism. Before I glue on the little yellow piece with the arrow, I wanted to go ahead and just color that tab part that pulls up the same color of the sky. You wouldn't necessarily have to do it. I just think it kind of gives a nicer finish to the card. So I'll just go in with the same color I used for the sky, which was B000, and color the entire tab, and then I will adhere my little yellow piece that helps the recipient know what to do with the card. I used the sentiment that came along with the stamp set to stamp on that front yellow piece that covers the Magic Picture Changer. I have cut out a piece from an older paper collection called Dandy Day using the largest of the large stick. This is a tongue twister. The largest of the large stitched rectangle stackable. And then I cut out a stitched scallop rectangle frame, the largest one of that, also out of white cardstock, and adhered it to the background. I'm going to put some foam tape on the back of my Magic Picture Changer just to elevate it a little bit and give the recipient just a little bit of room to grab that little tab to pull out the picture changer to see the magic happen. When I'm getting ready to adhere that to my card, I want to make sure that I'm leaving enough room at the bottom because I want to decorate it with some of the little flower pots and different items that came with the stamp set. So I found it was easier just to kind of flip it around, center it that way, and then just take a few of my stamped and colored pieces and lay them in there kind of where I think I was going to want them. That way I knew exactly where to put that picture changer. For the sake of time in this video, I have stamped and colored in all of my little elements that I'm going to be putting at the bottom of my card. I have used mostly everything from the Garden Mouse stamp set, with the exception of the little wheelbarrow with the little dirt in it. I just felt I needed one more little piece in the bottom, and that just seemed to jump out at me. So I'm going to play around with these little pieces and kind of figure out exactly where they're going to look the best on my little magic picture changer. Once I kind of have that idea of where I think they need to go, I'll go ahead and start gluing them or placing foam tape on the back of them because I want them to be elevated along with the picture changer. I did find out that one layer of foam tape was not going to be near enough, so I had to double those up just to give it enough lift so that they weren't kind of like dipping down off of that picture changer. It just kind of gives it a nice, cleaner, better look, just with that little extra piece of foam tape. Well, that pretty much takes care of that card. I hope that you were inspired to make a card of your own. Go ahead and hit subscribe if you would like to be notified of future videos. You can also follow me on Instagram at Sandy Cogdill or on my blog. Thanks for stopping by, and I hope you have a fantastic day. Bye-bye.